Hello. Am I live? I don't even know anymore. There we go. That looks fine. Okay. So, pretty much an entire hour late because of some people around here. But I am here for you guys. Alright. I was going to shorten this, but I guess I'm going to have to go long now because some things are going on. Well, hello everybody, this is meteorologist Andrew Pinero. So, from the last Stick Games and Storms, we had a little bit of an issue. And that issue, I believe, has been corrected now. So if you saw yesterday's Memorial Day live stream, why did that freeze? This looks fine. Okay. Well, if you saw yesterday's Memorial Day live stream, you saw I tested the new system. I have pushed it even a little bit more today with the new processor. And it seems to be fine. Ooh, let me get this. I can't reach here. So, CPUs galore. Oh, I can't reach it. Okay. So the CPU I have in the computer right now is this one. Core i9 9900K. This is the highest performance CPU I've ever had, and has this interesting packaging. It almost feels like a video game, something that you actually get, like an orb or something. So that's what I'm using right now. Some of the other things here, so more CPUs galore. The 8600K right here. This is what was in the computer previously, and that's the actual processor that was just put back in the box that was in the computer. So, to review this one, the i9, it's 8 cores, hyper-threaded, so total what the computer sees is 16 threads, or 16 processors, it kind of think of it as, that it can see. This one, the i5, this had 6 cores and 6 threads, meaning no hyper-threading with Intel. So this one was not enough horsepower I needed to do all of this. And then one that I will be returning, I actually didn't even open this one, because I tried the i9 first and I wasn't sure if it would work well in the system, but it is. Now this was previously the best gaming processor, this side, 8700K, also Intel, so all of these, and then there's the processor right in the box. So I have not even opened this. I'm gonna return this one. So I wanted to see if the 8-core 16-thread would work, and it seems to be working very well. And this 9th gen versus the other two. These two are 8th gen processors. The i9 I have, this is a 9th generation part. So the idea is it's a bit more efficient with power and thermals. Are you considering the trend? Wait for that, Raymond. We're going to talk about that. We're talking about processors first. So, Computex is going on right now, and it looks like AMD has finally caught up with Intel, and maybe even surpassed. So if you've watched any of the Computex coverage, the processors, it's really a battle between Intel and AMD right now. Whereas AMD has always been the kind of budget processor that it's not going to give you the best performance, but it's going to give you the best deal. Previously, it was Intel. If you want the most performance, you got to go Intel, but that's changed a little bit recently. So that is my update with the processor. It is 16 threads, and I'm going to show you guys right now. Just going to pop it up on the screen right here. Oh, come on, OBS. Do your job. There. So CPU, we have the 9900K. Now this is interesting here. So 3.6 gigahertz is the base clock. It boosts up to 4.7, unless there's some things you enhance, then it would boost up to 4.9 or 5 gigahertz essentially. I've pushed it a little bit more to this 5.2, so I got a 200 megahertz overclock on it. I could go more if I up the voltages more, but I'm also looking at the temperatures. So with the temperatures here, once this pops up, so the coolant 32 and the processor right now is 42, which is not bad at all, especially because I'm pushing it a little bit right now, but you could tell streaming and recording, which I'm all doing in OBS right now, 12% it's at right now. If you remember, the 8600K was 60 to 70% CPU utilization, while this is sitting pretty at 12. And these temperatures are actually lower. So with what should have been the hotter part with the more cores and more threads is actually cooler. So think of all of these as individual processors in there. There's 2 cores, it looks like, that are more active than others. At least that's for right now, until gaming starts. And the GPU is actually active a little bit as well, probably because I have a lot of stuff on the screen. But this is very nice. I think this is going to be a good part. Alright, my laptop is... I manage the stream from a laptop I have sitting on the side here. Come on, you can get in there. Get in the hole. Get in the hole. There we go. Okay. Let me switch this back for right now. So, we talked a little bit about what's going on with the processor, and it seems to be working very well right now. Let's crack open some of this. Now, I actually pulled this out an hour ago. I was really planning on trying to get this up at like 3:15 or 3:30, but things happened. So this is not going to be as cold, but it's nice and bubbly. Oh, it smells so good. Seagram's Escapes Wild Berry. So, cheers. This is not the highest. This only has 3.2% alcohol, but still a nice tropical drink. That is delicious. Strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, blackberry. Wow, that was delicious. All right. Raymond, let's see. In another discussion with another Discord, 3 of 4 tornado emergencies was late. So you mean tonight? Tornado emergencies. Where to get to that? So I have radar scope up and ready to go. I'm going to pop up here the national radar. We're going to do the satellite. Ooh, that bottle's really wet. satellite up. Then we're going to look at the SPC. Oh, lots of stuff to talk about there. And we're going to look up some of the watches right now. Then we're going to get to some of the forecast models. And also, Raymond. Last time you said Joe Chaffee recommended you look at the 3 kilometer. We're going to do that today because that's one we can use because we are going to be looking at today's weather, but also we're going to look at that HRRR, which really you can only use for a day because it only goes 18 hours out. So we're going to look at the HRRR, which is a 1 kilometer resolution, and the 3 kilometer NAM. We're going to pull that up as well. And let's see, how much of an alcoholic beverage drinker, but a caffeinated one. I am the opposite. I try and avoid caffeine. So we got GFS. Let's pull up the icon. We're going to pull up both NAMs. So we're going to pull up the 12 and the 3. And the HRRR. Oh, the HRRR is right in here. Okay. I don't have to go to the website. Oh, it would help if I have the right view. There we go. Okay, so the model order is going to be GFS, Icon, 12 kilometer NAM, 3 kilometer NAM, and HRRR. It looks like the 19, because this is an hourly run, so I'm not going to use the 19Z. Oh, this goes 36 hours. Yes, I forgot. 36 hours out. Does this have shear in here? Oh, that rhymed. It does not. I don't think. We have mean surface level cape. Oh, yes, we're going to look at cape. Alright, so we're going to look at all of that, but we're going to start with the national radar. Let me see if I got the button working. Did it change? Okay, it did. Good. All right. And also, welcome everybody else. I see another person joined. Feel free to join the chat if you would like. Okay. The wire was pulling on my light that's up here. So here on the satellite, or satellite, on the radar, this system is it's all kind of connected together. This very long system here. Oh, I will also pull up some surface analysis. So this stuff that's in Pennsylvania, all of this radar echo, that is what's going to slowly make its way more so for southern New Jersey, but that doesn't mean more north is completely out of the picture. Raymond, I just saw your question there. Is processing the same for mobile devices, or is that not normally customized like PCs? So, with mobile devices, you have to have more power efficiency just because you have a battery, versus this, I just plug into the wall and it can use as much power as it wants. And also, it's just physical size. I will actually, I'm going to open this up for you. Just real quick here. To show you the physical size compared to a phone. Before I take it out, I just want to ground myself on the computer. Okay. So let me make this full screen. I'm going to show you here. So this is the 8600K. Okay. I got to try and hold this by the edges. So this is the heat spreader, it's called. And that's where you put the thermal paste. You don't really want to get oils of your fingers on the top there, so it's safest to grab it by the edges. So on there, that's where you put your thermal paste, and when it's sitting in the computer, the motherboard, that's where your cooler sits right on top of there. Now some of these processors, they do something called delidding, where that heat spreader, the aluminum part, they pull off and change out the paste that's underneath. So that's the front. On the back side here, these are all pins that make contact with the motherboard in that specific socket. So this specific type of socket is called LGA, which is LAN grid array, which means you have a grid of the pins there. 1151, meaning there is 1,151 pins on the processor. Now, with this processor, this is a pretty powerful processor on its own for gaming, but the gaming and the streaming, it needed more. So this is actually physically the same size as the one in the computer right now. And actually, from the live stream, this is the exact processor I was using last week. Alright, here's an iPhone. Look at the size. So trying to fit a processor like this into a phone, that's going to be really challenging, and these things are pretty power hungry. So you can't really have the same desktop level stuff on a phone, unfortunately. I see your second comment, Raymond, but yeah. Processors, so a processor like this for the computer is just much more powerful, and it's more power hungry. You have to be more mobile. So now that I have this, it goes inside this plastic packaging. If I grab it the right way, there we go. It goes inside the plastic packaging, and once it's in there, it's actually ESD, or electrostatic discharge safe. So now, I grounded myself on the computer. But now with this, if I wasn't grounded and I touched this, the plastic won't transfer any electrical activity through it. And then I'm just going to put this right back in the box. Helps if I put it in the right way. There we go. And now it's perfectly ESD safe, sitting nice and pretty right in there. And it's the same thing with the 8700K, same processor. I'm just not opening this box so I get a full return on that. But processors, they change in size and power consumption depending on the device. It would be nice if we get desktop processing power in a phone or a Fire Stick like you're using, Raymond. Oh wow, this is delicious. Okay, back to here. So this whole system here, pretty long. It's all kind of attached to the same frontal system. And I'm going to bring up here, if it's not in my diagnostic stuff, weather prediction center. Nope. weather, WPC, we're going to go to. I don't think I want that. Short range? No, I don't want this view. WPC.nsep.noaa.gov. I just don't need the rest of that. Oh, come on. Oh, what? Wait, what? Why is this not coming up? WPC? What's the new WPC.noaa.gov? Nope, not that either. Alright, let's just Google search it. Weather Prediction Center. And then what's the what? WPC.nsep. I did that. I did this exact website. Unless you needed the HTTPS in front. Oh well. And Raymond, to answer your question, the answer is yes. I am concerned about that, just because typically thunderstorms have happened in the evening, and what's happening thermally with this is you have the radiation from the sun hitting the ground, and it heats up the ground, and it keeps heating it up because during the daytime you have direct sunlight, so it's just basically rays straight hitting the ground. But once the sun starts setting into the evening hours, then the thermal pressure or thermal force of the sun starts to fade away a little bit, so the ground starts radiating more heat by itself. And when that happens, that's what triggers convection. So the heat of the sun hits the ground, heats up the ground until the sun angle starts getting lower in the evening hours. Then the ground radiates its own heat, but it transitions from a different spectrum. We have ultraviolet rays from the sun hitting the ground, which heats up the ground, and then it radiates out infrared. The infrared waves, that's what we feel. So like if the sun is out, we could feel the heat on our skin because of direct contact. But if you put a blanket or an umbrella, you won't feel the sun's heat anymore. It's different from the ground, because when the ground radiates the infrared heat, it's everywhere. That is what causes the convection that leads to the thunderstorms. Now, usually that happens in the late afternoon going into the evening, but this also kind of just a theory. So if anybody is out there watching about climate change, don't get too riled up with this statement. But I'm thinking, with global warming, we can see thunderstorms happening more into the overnight hours because more heat is radiating up from the ground. It does kind of make sense, and that's something that is a hypothesis I have right now. I'll have to do some research on it, but that's something I will be looking into. It does kind of make sense that way. If we have global warming, we have the ground getting hotter, it's radiating heat longer. Therefore, the convection that triggers thunderstorms and tornadoes lasts longer into the evening hours, into the overnight hours, just like with the Ohio tornado, the twin tornadoes. Yeah, the twin supercells and the tornadoes. That is an interesting hypothesis that I will have to conduct more research on. I may not have that in time for the next climate change chat video that I'm working on my friend Jean Marie. I'm working on with Jean Marie. But we'll see. I'll maybe have that out later in the year or next year. I know this type of research, from my experience, takes a long time. Okay, so now let's start looking at some things here. Let me move this just over. I try and stay organized. Okay, so we started with the radar. And on the radar, we see this system here that's kind of all connected. And now let's take a look at some satellite. And this is a very interesting looking satellite. Doesn't this kind of look like an animal? I see the head. The mouth is right here. You got the front legs, the body, the back, the hips area, the rear legs or the hind legs, and the tail. Right? It's an animal. Let's put the animal in motion. You can see the multiple levels of clouds in the atmosphere there. So what's happening, it looks like, is we have southwesterly flow in this warm sector that's bringing up some more warm and moist air. That's kind of feeding off. Although here, so there's a high pressure, I think, here. Let's go into here. Yep, there's a high pressure. Well, there's saying a low in there, too. But this is what I was thinking, based on that satellite. High pressure in here, and this spins clockwise in the northern hemisphere. So this is funneling up the moisture off the Gulf of Mexico into this system here, and that's a cold front, a couple of low pressures tied together, and that's the warm front. So when we go back to the satellite, this is the warm front. Not really warm at the moment, but I have, where I am, 65 degrees. Pete, hello. Thank you for joining. Raymond, I don't know if I would consider that all of the same sequence. It's just, it has to deal with the climate pattern and a little bit going into like El Nino. But that goes into also just the moisture. We have had a really moist 2019, very wet. And even going into the winter, starting in January. We didn't have a lot of snow, but we had a lot of moisture come through. So we had lots of rain with some snow mixed through. And that we've seen this pattern all year round. So I don't know if it's directly connected in the definition of this tornado sequence, but I think it just has to do with a lot of excess moisture in the atmosphere, which aids convection. And Pete, with you joining in, I was curious to get your take on my hypothesis here. So Raymond's question from earlier on in the chat was, am I concerned with the nocturnal tornadoes? And my answer was, it is concerning, and I'm thinking it may have to do with these increased temperatures, global temperatures. My thinking with this hypothesis was that if we have increased temperatures, even just from the ground is warmer, it radiates heat longer into the night. Therefore, we can have convection longer into the night, which could lead to thunderstorms and tornadoes. Something I will be testing, but Pete, I wanted to get your take on that theory or that hypothesis. And everything's working really well. I think I made a good purchase with this new processor. Anyway, so we got our little dog or lion? Maybe a lion with the lion mane up here. What shape do you see? Now we're going into a Rorschach test. What shape is in the atmosphere? I see a lion. A lion leaping, it looks like. Male lion with the mane. But, let's go back to the surface analysis. We can still kind of see this animal shape here. The lows would make up the head and the shoulders. The second set of lows would make up the hips. The front cold front, the first cold front. This one's the front arm or front legs. You have the spine. The rear legs is the warm front turning into the cold front. Is it an animal? Weather is a beast. So is this a beast right now? All right. Moving right along. Storm Prediction Center. Let's take a look at these risks here. So, wow, there's an enhanced risk here. That's probably what caused the tornado watch, which we'll get to the watches coming up next. So, enhanced risk, and that is more than halfway up the thunderstorm scale. So slight is kind of just below half, and enhanced is starting to get to the top half of this thunderstorm scale, the severe thunderstorm scale. Moderate, that is 3/4 up essentially. And then right at the top, high, but there's no high there, and I don't usually see high. Looks like an elephant. Interesting. Do I have any of this available? I see monkeys, ducks, unicorn. No lion? Okay, nothing in there. But we got that moderate risk. And when we now look at OKX, so there's this hazardous weather outlook. And then in yellow here, the tornado watch. And then when we move from OKX to Mount Holly, excuse me, that tornado watch does extend through some of these counties into New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So we'll take a look at this. Severe thunderstorm warning, Williamsport, and right here, a tornado warning. Now let's go to radar scope. Okay, on the right radar, so there's a tornado warning for here. I don't think this trailing tornado warning is related to that one. Can I click on it? Nope, I cannot. It just takes me longer. Why can't I click on it? Oh, I see why. Now I should be able to click on it. There we go. That expires in 18 minutes. This one expires in... oh, that's a severe thunderstorm warning. 3 minutes as well. So that was pretty much from this cell here. Moving at 31 knots, maybe like 35 miles per hour. And let's see. So it's moving across this distance in about an hour. And let's measure. So it's, yeah, there we go. So about that 35, right about there. 35 miles per hour. So we're assuming there. And let's read this tornado warning. All right. So, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Tower City, moving excuse me, moving southeast at 35 miles per hour. Hey, my estimate was about right. Tornado and hail up to 2 inches in diameter. Radar indicated rotation. We'll take a look at some of the rotation in a second. Tree damage. What do we got? Tree damage will occur. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles, likely flying debris. Dangers to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Oh, thought I heard something. I know what it is. So that's the reflectivity. Let's take a look at the velocity. There it is, right in here. That's where we're seeing our shear. Now, to identify the type of shear, we got to look at the direction. So all this red essentially is moving away from the radar site. Right here's the radar site. And when we're looking at the red, it's all moving away. But when we look in a little closer here, we have red, so it's not moving. Actually, it is a bit negative. So there's a little bit of both speed and directional shear, but right in the middle here, those grays going into the greenish colors, that's a little bit opposite. So you have that directional shear, wind going in one direction and wind going in the other direction. And when they meet in the middle there, that creates a little bit of rotation. That's what could lead to that tornado. So this is where it's radar indicated right now. How high are the echo tops? Let's see. Elephant. How high are the echo tops? Let's take a look. And Raymond, to answer your question, for Windows, I did not buy RadarScope Pro because that would have to be another $10 a year. I have RadarScope Pro for the iPhone, for iOS, on the iPad and the iPhone, and the Mac. So that's $20 a year there. I didn't want to add another $10 a year for RadarScope Pro on Windows, and I don't even think it can support. When I first got RadarScope for Windows, I don't even think, they said in the beginning, RadarScope Pro is not a thing. It can't happen. They were working on it. Don't know if they actually got it. But, Pete, to answer your question, we're going to look at some of these echo tops here. So we got, we are over 50,000 feet. All this over 50,000 feet. But here, this is where there's a little bit of a difference here. So the highest cloud height. Oh, do I still have GR level X? GR level 2. Oh, the trials ended. Oh well. This would have been a good example where you can get 3D volumetric radar. But this application's $300 and I don't feel like spending that. If RadarScope added in 3D volumetric radar, maybe I might consider that. But here, let's go back and discuss this. So here we see our over 50,000 feet, which really 50,000 feet and over, that means that's a really strong storm. But that was, so right about here. Let's see if I can draw. There we go. So right in here, that's where the 50,000 feet and over is. Now, if I bring up, go back to velocity. Maybe. There we go. Okay. Now it matches up. There's the radar. There we go. Radar updated. It was behind there. So that's matching up right now. And then when we look at the reflectivity, it's all matching up. So right back here is where the shear is. The higher DBZs, over 60 DBZ, that's more forward, which is kind of what I've seen before with tornadoes. The shear, that's where you look for where the tornado would be, which is at the back side here. And let me play this. So the shear's near the back end there, but still, it's just below the 60 DBZ reading. And let's pause. So, echo tops are over 50,000 feet. Their shear is really high DBZ. So, even though they can't say there's a confirmed tornado just yet, radar indicated tornado is still enough that caused this tornado warning. And this stuff, let me get rid of the drawing. That is what's heading towards southern Jersey. All of this. So, what was this? That was interesting. I forgot I could do this. So right in here, 65 I got in one point there. There, 65 dBz. Can I do that with the echo tops? So 51,000 feet was right in here. That's 51,000 feet. But what I wanted to try and do... Actually, let's take a peek here. Now, these dual pulse radar outputs I haven't looked too much into. Besides, like, hydrometeor classification, correlation coefficient. These I'm not 100% sure on. But what I wanted to try and see, the news station radar, what I'd be able to do, say with the drawing, is draw, say, like this, and then have it come out. And then be able to see where the timings would be. But no, can't do that here. I just see. So let's see. If this is moving at about 35 miles an hour, by the time it gets to, say, Philadelphia, 80. So that's a little over an hour from now, it may be getting near Philadelphia. And if it keeps continuing, it'll get to right about the Jersey Shore, 130 miles. Let's do a little bit of math. Hello, Delvin. Thank you for joining. So we got 130 miles divided by 35 miles per hour. 3.7 hours, so just under 4 hours from now. Right around what I was thinking, like the 8 o'clock time frame, where all of this stuff will be making its way through Jersey. So 7 to 8 maybe. Going from Philadelphia to the Jersey Shore. Delvin, how are you doing tonight? Okay. What's the blue dot? Oh, that's the radar. I see. Oh, interesting. Beam height. Oh, I never knew radar scope can do that. So at the edge of the circle there, the height of the beam at this tilt 1, 16,500 feet up. So that's the challenge with the radar here, especially if you just use one sight. Anything below, say, 16,000 feet with the beam, you're not seeing. And there's weather happening below 16,000 feet. That's where you have the network of radars. Now, if we switch the radar station to Mount Holly, what I saw before, and I was still seeing now, these waves. And they're moving opposite the movement of the storm. Now, it's a good thing I was going to be like, oh, wait, let me record this. I am recording this, and it's streaming. Thinking ahead. This is an interesting radar signature, which I remember from, let me ask some of the other meteorologists I know, maybe the Joe Chaffee and the Joe Rayo, and also Brian Fitzgerald. I don't know if any of you guys watch him. Let's see here. And I'm going to ask them, there's a weather conference we went to, and I feel like this guy was conducting research on exactly this that I'm seeing right now. What was it? I forgot what it was called. Horizontal vortices? Why do you autocorrect state to stage? That doesn't make sense. What was it called? It wasn't horizontal vortices. I forgot what exactly he called it. And now it corrected movement to pavement. Sometimes I really hate autocorrection. And no, Pete, I don't think it's a microwave signature. It's actual. These are actual vortices that move perpendicular to the storm movement. There was a guy doing research on this. It came up more with snowstorms, which is what they were looking at, snow patterns and why you have like these waves, kind of like exactly what you're seeing here. Imagine those, you're seeing these waves of snow mounds, and it moved perpendicular to the storm pattern. And then this went into, that's the first example he gave. I think the second example was with downbursts, microbursts, and these waves of trees being knocked down. You had like vertical trees, a couple rows there, then you had trees knocked down, then a couple rows of trees, then trees knocked down. This, I think, is something that he's talking about. This perpendicular movement to the storm movement. It's something brand new that he was a hypothesis he came up with. It's really bugging me what it was. Yeah, we'll watch how it reacts with the storm as it makes its way through. I have my Tri-State Weather Conference book that will somewhere that'll tell me what his research idea was. But it was something that's micro scale. It was below mesoscale. And because it was below the mesoscale, the forecast models just couldn't pick it up. So this is something that forecast models won't be able to see. So if we go back here, let's just read the tornado watch. A lot of counties there. Wait. Can't read it. Let's click on Trenton. Until 10 p.m. Okay. That's it. Just a hazardous outlook. Please listen to NOAA Weather Radio. Let's see if I go back to the Storm Prediction Center here. We're going to look in this section. Give it a minute. Maybe more. I'm sure there's a lot of people on this website right now. It's not loading. Oh, it froze. There we go. Okay. I don't even know what I clicked. So it is the watch. All right. Let's see what this says. Large hail likely isolated with very large hail events to 2 inches, 2-inch hail, and wind gusts of 70 miles per hour. Storm environment favorable for supercell capable of producing large hail and damaging winds. Oh, what was SKUT? What was that SKUT site I was on last week? Wait, they have SKUTs? Surface. Soundings. There we go. Ooh, what's the green mean? Sites launch irregularly, may not always be available. Let's see, is missing or doesn't exist. So let's try this one. Okay, so at least it works, and I know where to get some SKUTs. Well, let's just see what it's calculating the cape level at there. It's not actually in, so cape is 19, which is out of the area. But I want to see somewhere around here. Cape 1374. So going back to the SKUT, reading the SKUT. So we have, let me just see which line is which. I think this is the parcel. The green here should be the dew point. The red is the temperature, and the blue is the parcel. So the idea with this is the actual surrounding air temperature and dew point readings are these green and red lines. Dew point's just the lower one because dew point number will always be lower. Can't have dew point go above temperature. That's just a no-no. But the idea with this, we're dealing with adiabatic processes, which is changing of temperature without increasing heat. So when we go into this, if we start at the surface here, it kind of stays pretty steady. And also SKUT came from the temperatures, lines are skewed. So the temperature lines are these slanted lines. So this goes from -50 to 40 Celsius. But down here, the blue line, well, watch the parcel here. It's kind of following that red line. It's kind of following right along the ambient. So essentially, you have the surface parcel air, which is kind of, just think of it as a blob. We have a blob of air, that's called the parcel. The blob of air, as it rises, the temperature of that may be different than the surrounding air. That's where you get convection from. So if we look at the bottom here, as that parcel or the blob of air rises, it's staying kind of with, and this is buoyancy. The atmosphere air is gas. Gas is a fluid. Fluid dynamics is for liquid and gas. So we're breathing a fluid right now. And I'm drinking a fluid too. So, as this rises, temperature decreases with increasing height through the troposphere. So we're seeing the temperature start to go down, and the parcel kind of follows that. But then here, we're seeing the temperature stay about the same, a tiny bit movement this way, but slow down essentially. So when it's going straight up and down like this, the decrease in temperature is changing, it's slowing. But at the point here, where the parcel is warmer than the actual air, that's where the parcel is just going to rise up more because of buoyancy. Warmer air is less dense than colder air. So in here you have a little bit of convection. And this one actually shows you meters at the moment, because the meters always change. So right around this 700 millibar level, which this is saying is 3063, so that's about 3 kilometers up, is the 700 millibar level. There's a little bit of convection in about there, so about 650 to 700 millibar. And then it peaks up a little bit right here, so there's no convection there. Then the parcel, it just rises. It just rises. That's where all of this cape comes from. That level in here. So this is where your thunderstorm level is going to be. All the thunderstorm action is happening just above 200 millibar. So probably maybe, if that's 250, that's maybe 210 millibar, right around there. 210 millibars through 650 millibar. That's a good chunk of the atmosphere to have these thunderstorms just growing. Yes, Raymond, I do remember that May 20th, that the high risk we were talking about that busted, but they usually are pretty cautious with that high risk. So converting this from the millibars to meters, or we'll go with kilometers. So this is about 12,000 meters, so about 12 kilometers up to right around here, which is about, we'll go with this one, 3068. So from about 3.6 kilometers to 12 kilometers. So 12, we'll subtract the difference. 12, 11, 10, 9. So roughly 9 kilometers we're looking at there of just free convection. That's what's giving this decently high cape of 1374, and that's measured as a energy density, joules per kilogram. So that was, I don't remember where I clicked on that. Let's try this one right here in Pennsylvania. Cape is 716, so not that high. And you can still see right in here, that's where the cape is. The parcel is warmer than the air. And the dew point's pretty dry here, so that's probably what's causing not really a lot of convection there, because of the dryness. And also here on the right side, we're looking at winds, so we don't have any directional shear. That would be if that would be tornadic. If we see these arrows change direction, like drastically, you see one pointing this way and you see the other pointing that way. Okay. There's nothing closer. Let's just go to, I think that would be Islip. Okay, X, yep. Cape is 43. So this is where you're seeing the parcel is colder than, except right there, at the surface, just going up a little bit, the parcel is warmer than the surrounding air, just for a tiny bit. That's where you're getting that 43. And then the parcel's colder than the air temperature the rest of the way up. Let's try this one. Cape is 537. There's not really big cape out here. 929. There's a 73. 1331. But we're still seeing a couple of these patterns here where the parcel and the air temperature is kind of like right along here. Then the parcel's colder than the air temperature. That's why it's not really going up. So the buoyancy is kind of keeping it about the same at that level. It's not forcibly going up, which is what convection is, until here. That is all the free convection. The parcel is warmer than the surrounding air. Up until here, and then it gets colder than the surrounding air. Because as you see at this point where it starts to tilt a little bit more to the right, that's kind of where we're starting to hit the other layers of the atmosphere. And especially right here. So this is probably the tropopause, right about here. And then this, where we have the temperature starting to get warmer with height. As the height increases, temperature increases in the stratosphere. With the troposphere, the level we're at, as you increase in height, you decrease in temperature. But with this stratosphere, as you increase in height, you increase in temperature. But still, we're dealing down here with very cold temperatures still in the stratosphere. So at the, let's see about this line. So let's follow this line down. So that's negative 60 degrees Celsius is this line. So that's got to be maybe like negative 63 Celsius. Still pretty cold, but we have increasing temperature with height. So it's increasing from, say, negative 65 to negative 63. And in the, well, the moderate risk zone doesn't necessarily show us where everything is. What I'm going to look at is where the severe thunderstorm warnings are. So there's some right in here. I'm going to see if there's any kind of sounding from that area. Let's try right here. Nope. Maybe here. And again, this is not right now either. 1374. I think this is where I was before. 18Z. This was 2 p.m. Usually they launch these at 12Z and 0Z normally, but sometimes they throw in some extra soundings when there's stuff happening. So in that severe thunderstorm warning area, 1374 Cape, and that's where we're seeing this. This is the same one I was looking at before. This big layer of free convection. Okay. So this Games and Storms, we didn't really look at the week ahead. We looked at what's going to go on for tonight. I'm just going to show you the models real quick before we switch. Just for our area, so the GFS here. It's not showing a lot of rain, but remember, this is a 100-kilometer resolution, so it's not going to show a lot in here. Not a lot of detail. And then again, maybe tomorrow evening some stuff. So I'm planning to go to the car show, but I think it may be canceled. With any kind of rain, they kind of cancel, because when you have like $250,000, $500,000 cars in this car show, you don't want to get rain, and you don't want to drive on a muddy field with these $250,000 cars. The icon's a little bit higher resolution. And that's showing not a lot in there, so we still need to get higher resolution. NAM. Here we go. 9 p.m. So once you get to this 12-kilometer reading, that is where, or resolution, that's where we're starting to see some stuff. And then that makes its way through, and then we'll look at tomorrow. So first part of your day tomorrow looks fine until those evening hours where we could see some more storms, it looks like tomorrow night. Now we'll switch to the 3-kilometer NAM. Much more detail that we're seeing in here. Look at that. So that's 10. They may need to push. Actually, I don't know if they'll push anything back, but this layer here, that's 10 p.m. is what the 3-kilometer NAM is saying. And then going into tomorrow. Yeah, and that's right around 6 to 8 p.m. is kind of where the car show would be. Or like 5 to 8 p.m. But that's not looking good, unfortunately. Where were we? We're on 3 kilometer NAM, and now the HRRR, the highest resolution model I have access to here, 1 kilometer. And it's still kind of showing that same 0Z, which is 8 p.m. tonight. It's right around that 8 p.m. time frame. That is where we're seeing some storms. And what was this? Oh, that was the soundings. We'll move that up a little bit there. Okay. So we looked at a couple things in here. That wraps up pretty much the weather discussion. And then to recap for anybody watching at the moment with the gaming computer. So last week, this processor, the 8600K, this processor itself I had in the computer. And this is what bogged everything down. This is a 6-core, 6-thread. So that means there's no hyper-threading. 6-core processor is not a slow processor by any means. Even though it's an i5 in the Intel lineup, this is not a slow processor. This is a perfect gaming computer for budget gaming. Now, the next one up, we had the 8600K. This is the 8700K, and this, for a good chunk of time, was considered to be, and that's the processor right there, the best gaming processor you can get. Still 6 cores, 12 threads with hyper-threading. And both of them can be overclocked pretty easily. I went a step further, because I'm not just gaming on this. I'm doing all this, which is streaming to YouTube and recording. So this is recording locally to the hard drive of the computer and streaming. So that's where I tried this, and it's in a very interesting box. Core i9. Those two are the 8th gen processors. Those two right there are 8th gen processors. This is the 9th gen, so it's a little bit more efficient, thermally efficient, and power efficient. This almost looks like in a video game, like with Destiny. Almost looks like those orbs that you have to carry with you. So, interesting little box, but I kind of like it. Makes you feel like it's worth the price, the asking price to get in. So this processor, the 9900K, that I am using right now in this computer. 8 cores, so higher core count, physical core count, than either of them, 2 more, and 16 threads with hyperthreading. So essentially the computer thinks of it as 16 processing elements. And it's working very well. At this moment, OBS is saying 0 dropped frames, which is good. And it's only using about 5.3% of the processor. And total in use right now is about 13%. 12% it dropped back down to. Usually when I open up, I'll show you here. Nope, it's not changing. There we go. Usually when you open up, and I'm doing a split screen. So on that side right there, when you open up something, it uses a bit more. So this is kind of hovering right around 12-13% total processor usage. You can see like this thread right there, they're called processing element thread, is using a bit more. It's about halfway up, a little more than halfway, right about there. And so think of CPU 4 and CPU 6. They're the most active right now. We'll see how this changes when we start the gaming. And we're going to bring up our Anthem game now, and we're going to try this one more time. Alright, ooh. window, window, window. Oh, there, window, window, window. All right. Let's see how it looks. And on your end, watching the stream, I'm watching it too on the laptop I'm controlling it from. I want you guys to let me know how it looks. Does it look smooth enough? Because right now it looks pretty darn smooth. Well, I just heard the processor kick up a bit. However, I mentioned this a little bit before. I have the graphics card, the RTX 2080, and the liquid cooler, both from EVGA. They have this LED sync, which is RGB. Say what you want about RGB, I have a couple things in there. They're synced, so they're breathing, this breathing effect with the lights. When I had the 8600, when I had this processor in the computer last week, I was watching these LEDs and they were stuttering. It was overloading the processor so much it couldn't even control just simple light. Okay. Alright, it feels really good right now. This feels like it's at 60. It looks good on that end, on the stream I'm watching, which is a little bit delayed, but it looks good. It's not playing at 60 FPS, which is what I'm seeing on my gaming on the monitor here. It looks like it's about 30 FPS, but still it looks pretty steady at that 30 FPS. So the walk is usually kind of hard. Okay, it looks good. I'm going to try my benchmark run in here. Yeah, it actually doesn't look that bad. It's not 60, it's 30. We'll see what happens once I get into the main game. Because also from yesterday's stream, I went back and watched the recording that was saved locally to the hard drive. It looks smoother than what was the stream. Let's see, I feel some heat there. Also, I'm going to be trying a couple of different things with just fan configuration. I think it's pretty okay right now. And also kind of going into thermals. Typically heat rises, but the rising of heat can be counteracted by a fan blowing.
Should we get a head start on the Legionnaires' trials or head straight for the tombs?
Okay, this feels really smooth right now. And it looks fine on the stream there. So let's try the benchmark run right here. And this time, let's try not to crash. This feels really good. Little tight there, but good. Oh. Controlling it. Oh. I hit the ground. Hold on. Oh, ground again. Come on, get up.
Dramatic increase in shaper energy detected in the area. Find the source. We've got shaper fragments. They're scattered through the area. First one down.
Okay. Ah, they're somewhat sensitive there. Okay, we got this.
All right. Keep at it.
Not good. Something's disrupting my javelin systems.
If you could stop whatever this is. Scar closing fast. This one will be trouble. Good luck.
Oh, it looks like I have a little partner there.
Okay, back to normal.
There! The Scar is down! Whew, that was a fight. Well done.
Okay. Oh, there's a thing over there. Okay.
Great, but you're not done yet.
Hopefully all that stuff stays over there. There it is.
That's it. Keep it up.
Oh,
I'm seeing a lot of mines. Sneaky.
it got me. Aha. Let me see if I can destroy this one.
Looks like all of them. I'll let the alchemists know. They'll be interested in what we found.
How's everything looking on the stream?
I'm picking up something. We've got outlaws nearby. The outlaws have been trouble here. Now I see why. Careful of the turrets, but let's make sure they can't shoot anyone else.
do have a special here. Oh, that hit the rock again.
That's one turret down.
They don't look
Okay.
happy with that.
The other one is right here. Oh, there's another. What is this? Ooh. Got out just in time. Just barely got me. Kind of stuck. Almost stuck. There we go. I didn't see anything in there. I'm wondering, will my shield prevent that? So let me get back right up here and what got me?
Catch them. Be careful.
That's done it. All turrets are destroyed.
Okay.
Oh, there's another one. Watch out.
I mean, there's another one. I am totally out of ammo right now. I think I need to find some ammo. Oops, something up here. I got some more. We got health. I'm really looking for. Got my special again. Let's pop this up. Recharge.
make the area safer for a while. Can't leave things like this. You've got to secure the area.
Okay.
There's our good deed for the day.
Hey, I can't get them? Oh well. That looks like a game glitch. Hello, Delvin. Thank you for the sunsets. I love how they're all after 8 p.m. with the sunsets. Now, it's a quiet area. Let me see. I'm gonna see. No, not the game. I want to see if I can just pull up Task Manager real quick here. So it's using 75-ish, 73, 74. Say 73 to 70, say 75% utilization. And this is hitting all the cores decently evenly. There's some that aren't as. Now what's interesting here is you can make out which ones are the main cores and which ones are not. So here, CPU 0, higher load than these. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4. These are physical cores. These two. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are hyper-threaded cores. Then these four, the higher 4 here are the other physical cores. So we have 0, 4, 8, and 12 physical cores. 2, 6, 10, and 14. Those are physical cores. Then these ones that aren't running as high, I think those are the hyper-threaded cores. But still, it's hitting my overclock, my 5.2 gigahertz overclock, very stably. Thankfully, knock on wood. Nothing has crashed. Feels smooth. So we have the CPU. The one last thing I want to bring up is temperature. So this is okay. This is a little warm for the coolant, 43. Below 60, I think was, as long as you keep it below 60, but if after this point it's holding at this 43, I'm pretty sure that means that's its kind of like cutoff point. But the processor, 65 to say 75, let's say around 70 averaging, that means I'm not overheating the processor. Oh, I just heard my recharge click. I'm going to close out of this, and I can see down here, 60 FPS. Oh, wow. Interesting. I guess when you're away from keyboard, it does this modeling. Okay, back to the game. So apparently this suit is also watertight. There's quite a bit of crystal. Don't know what this is. Maybe it'll come up later in the game. Somebody got me. Overheating. And cooled. Should have stayed under the water. It was safer. Can I shoot from under here? Nope. Something up there. Okay. Well, just when I thought everything was going to be golden. That's why this is actually a test. So, CPUs you can't have just saying, oh, I ran a CPU stress test for 10 minutes and it's stable. We were streaming, what? Hour and a half at that point? There we go. We were streaming about an hour and a half, and then, boop, blue screen of death. It didn't even just like freeze, and then blue screen of death. Or that's the B-sod that I typed in the message, the chat. It just, boop, went. Okay, so I'm gonna have to turn down the overclock, or up the voltage. I don't want to up the voltage, even though I have some headroom. I think I'll just leave it at maybe 100 megahertz overclock until I get into a little bit more, but still, this is doing its job very well. So let's try and get back. Oh, before I get back into the game, I just want to try this real quick. Radar scope. Let's see how things are. There's, Pete, if you're watching still. Oh, radar scope crashed. Let's see. Let's play this. Alright, so we're starting to see some interaction here. We'll see what happens there. So, essentially... Oh, I forgot to, switch that. Okay, now it's switched. Okay, so there's another tornado warning in Reading, Pennsylvania. Reading. I think it's... But there's a tornado warning there. And they have a report of pea-sized hail, which is 1/4 inch. But what I'm looking at, so this is still here, this perpendicular radar radar echo, radar signature. And as it looks like it's almost getting pulled into this. So it would almost look like, yeah, it got pulled in a little bit. We'll see how this looks through the rest as it starts to protrude, I guess you could say, into this perpendicular storm movement. Okay, now let's get back to the game. I may be able to just join right back in if it's not long enough. Okay. So how's everybody doing? Oh, my shorts ripped. I just saw that. That wasn't there before. I'll rip my pants. But just looking at so I have the temperature of the room. It was 70.5 when we started. That's 75 right now. Yeah, and it looks like the weather app is saying storms starting in the 7 o'clock hour. And that kind of fits in what we saw with the forecast models. Okay. Back. Okay, I think I'm back. Did everybody leave me? I think everybody left me. Oh well. We'll go for a little bit longer just to continue the testing. So I turned down the overclock now from 200 megahertz to 100. So it's 51 as a multiplier for the CPU. And I left the voltage the same, which was an increased voltage. If not, I'm just going to I'll turn everything back to stock. But we'll see how this goes. Okay, that switch is working. And while I'm here again, let's take another look at this radar. Well, it's already working better this time. Ooh. Tornado warnings. We got some tornado warnings up here. Come on. We're going to go Binghamton. We got some tornado warnings. I don't know what county that is, but it's just before Sullivan. I'm just responding to a couple people out here. Just responding to some people. Why does it autocorrect? I hate this autocorrect. It just got so terrible. It autocorrected don't to didn't. Why? And now I typed in New Jersey Shear, Shire, and it left it. It didn't correct it to shore. Like, what the heck is going on with this stupid thing? Okay, let's see what we got out here. That looks fine. I'll deal with some more posting later while I'm off the stream. Alright, so we're back up to good. So it looks okay. Severe thunderstorm warning going through Scranton, and it's following this cone. Kind of a hook in there. Let's switch this to... Where is it? Super Res Velocity. Not really too distinctive shear. Maybe a little bit in here. Alright, for the last little bit, I want to try booting up the game one more time, and if it doesn't, then we'll end with the radar. So let me get that there. Let me start going into... I wonder if it has to do with the room temperature. If this B-sods again, as I overclocked it lower, maybe a little thing to look into. So I do have the air conditioner on, but I don't know if I should put it on right now. Excuse the train. Now with fan configuration on the computer, I have the CPU radiator mounted at the top, pulling air down from the cold air outside. I'm not sure if that has anything to deal with it, because I also feel the hot air coming up around it. But the temperatures look fine, so I don't think that is it. If anything, I would front mount the radiator. let's try this here. So I'm walking through. Looks fine. Now when I went to the mission, I hold R. That's where it crashed. It looks fine now. Okay. Knock on wood. We may be in luck with this. So who do I have still watching right now that joined me back after a couple of those crashes? And I could see even in the viewership. It was going fine until it crashed, and then viewership dropped off, picked up again, then dropped off, and then I just have, looks like one person watching right now. So thank you for bearing with me. This is all still the experiment, and I think I have found the stable overclock. Okay, we're back in game. We'll try our benchmark run.
Locations on your map, but we can't get
Actually, this feels like it's running even better. There's not as much something called tearing. When the frame rate of the CPU of the CPU, when the refresh rate of the monitor is in the frames per second of the GPU, they don't match exactly, and they kind of jump up. So, say 60 hertz is what the monitor is at, and then the GPU jumps up and down. You get this tearing on the screen. I'm not getting that this time. So, I think I may have found my stable overclock here. And let's get it through and see how it looks on the stream. I mean, it still doesn't look like 60 FPS, it looks like 30. But that's still very watchable. Hopefully I don't crash this time. Okay, it didn't crash. We're good. And with the game, I did want to get over to another spot. Ooh, what are they shooting up there? Alright. Oh, we got more shooting over here. Okay. Well, this seems stable. Actually, there's no tearing this time. Maybe 51 as a multiplier is what I need. That's an interesting look. I think this game has ray tracing in it. I'm not sure, 100% sure. Mess with those guys. Yeah, it looks fine on the stream. Ooh. Out of the way. So bright underneath. I thought there we go. The water would have washed the acid away. Okay, let's see.
Before you, aspirant, stands the
How am I not getting multi-kills?
Guardian of the Dawn, your worth has been measured and found wanting.
Interesting. I don't know why I'm not getting multi-kills. I would assume the definition of a multi-kill is one shot kills two people. Oh. What are you doing here? Where are you going? Don't let his shield get back up. Oh, his shield's back up.
Target the joints!
Be further away. Alright, we'll just let him heal. Come on, I almost got him. Oh. Yeah, this feels so much smoother now. It's all about finding that stable overclock. Wait, there's another one? Ooh, that totally missed. Wait, what? Are they just coming? Oh, they're just spawning. I'm gonna die. Don't die. Ah! Victorious! Oh, there's a lot more in here. But I think I'm gonna call it here. I'm just gonna fly this way. What's over here? Ooh, what got me? Okay. We're gonna call it here. Oh, Joe Chaffee just went live. He went live early. Well, thank you guys for sticking through the test while I found a stable overclock. Right. return to the fort. I'm assuming Joe Chaffee is talking about these tornado watches and tornado warnings. I don't know why, I just really like this box. Okay, so back in here, let's see. There's no tearing. It looks pretty good. Let's just walk through. This area is intense for both the CPU and the GPU. Looks good. Alright. We're going to quit the game. Alright, and I'm going to bring up radar scope again here. And well, Devlin, I know he only streams on YouTube. I meant early. Usually 7 o'clock. He's an hour early. Let's switch this to reflectivity. Alright, so looking at this tornado warning heading towards Scranton, Pennsylvania, there's a little bit of a hook in there. And there. And let's just go back to velocities. Yeah, so there's a little bit of shear in each of those areas where there was that hook. And the echo tops, there they are. $45, $40. Oh, this is echo, not enhanced echo top. Where are the enhanced echoes? There we go. So this shows a little bit higher resolution. There's one getting to 49,000 feet there. And that's 11 minutes old. Let me see if I can make this play. There's 11 minutes. Could be quite a bit in terms of this. So it's not updating. Is the site down all of a sudden? Clearly I'm getting internet because I'm streaming. There we go. Now it's updated. Now let's see in here. There we go. We got some 52,000 feet. So we got some intense stuff. So through the rest of this evening, this is where we could be seeing that. So I'm going to do my wrap up here right in a second. Let me... Don't want that. I want to switch to reflectivity. Okay. Now. There we go. So now let me do my wrap up. So thank you all for joining. Thank you for dealing with a little bit of testing, benchmarking. So I think I found that stable overclock, because the game actually performed much more smoothly in terms of the tearing on the screen once I lowered the overclock one step from a 52 multiplier, meaning 200 megahertz, up to 51 multiplier, a 100 megahertz overclock. I mean, it worked pretty well. It looks like the stream was going very well, besides the crashing part. It wasn't very choppy like it has been. I think it's going pretty good. I think this is a good purchasing decision, so I can deliver the best content for you guys. And in terms of just editing photos or videos on here, with that processor, I think it's going to be much better. And I think the transcoding, because when we're converting with OBS, it saves it in the FLV file format, Flash player or Flash video. So if it crashes, it'll save the video while it's crashing, which it has been. Excuse me. If I save it in a MOV or an MP4, it doesn't. But then with this processor, it'll be able to transfer or convert FLV to MP4 or MOV very easily, or more easily. So thank you for joining. Again, we'll have some storms tonight, maybe some storms tomorrow night as well, and it looks like Thursday, so Tuesday through Thursday was kind of an unsettled part of the week. I'm not sure if I'm going to have anything for tomorrow, because I'm going to try and be at the car show unless it's canceled. If not, I may try another stream tomorrow, maybe at the green screen, we'll see. And then I'll see about Full Throttle Thursday this week. I haven't had anything planned at the moment, but we'll see. Have a great evening, everybody. This is meteorologist Andrew Pinero. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.